All across Europe, officials are telling hundreds of millions of people to put away extra food. And it's not just a drill this time. Their reasoning is hard to ignore. War, cyber threats, and failing supply chains are no longer just headlines, but actual risks with real consequences. When you hear governments warning the public to get ready for possible disruptions, it makes you wonder if we should start listening too. It's not about giving in to fear, but about taking a smart, practical step that could make a world of difference when things get shaky. Experts have shifted their advice from, "It'll never happen here," to, "It's probably a good idea to have some backup." If the people in charge are finally admitting it's time to prepare, maybe it's time we do too. As we go through this list, pay close attention. Not all foods are created equal when it comes to emergencies. Sometimes the best way to protect your family is to simply follow the warnings that are right in front of us. If you've ever wondered what disappears first when disaster strikes, it's not the trendy health foods. In every major crisis, whether it's a hurricane, blackout, or something even bigger, plain old white rice is the first thing people grab off the shelves. It's easy to see why. Rice is one of the most reliable sources of calories, and if you store it right, it can actually last for decades. We're talking about food that could outlive your kitchen remodel, or even get passed down to your kids if it comes to that. But just tossing a bag in the pantry and forgetting about it? That's where most folks slip up. The packaging rice comes in as full of tiny holes you can't see, and it lets in moisture and bugs. You don't want to find out you've been feeding a family of beetles instead of your own when you need it most. It's surprisingly easy to do this right, though. Pick up some food-grade buckets and a few oxygen absorbers. They're not expensive, and you can get them online without any hassle. Pour your bulk rice into the bucket, toss in an oxygen absorber, snap the lid on, and you've locked in a shelf life that can hit the 30-year mark. That's a huge safety net, especially when the alternative is fighting over overpriced leftovers at the store during a supply crunch. What's more, stocking up on rice now isn't just good for emergencies. It's actually a smart move for your budget. Grocery prices have gone up across the board, but rice in bulk is still about as affordable as it gets. You'll notice the savings almost immediately, especially if you're feeding more than one or two people. And rice isn't just empty calories. It's the base of countless meals, stretches your food budget, and fills you up better than most of the processed stuff lining grocery aisles. When everyone else is caught off guard, you'll be the one sitting pretty with a real survival staple that doesn't break the bank or let you down when you need it most. If you look at what disappears first during a major crisis, it's almost never the bread or even the bottled water. It's always the protein. In places where conflict or disaster hits, think back to Europe in 2022 or the Texas freeze a couple years ago, meat, eggs, and dairy are completely wiped out almost instantly. That's where beans come in. Dried beans and legumes might look humble, but they're the true heavyweights of survival food. Just a cup of black beans gives you around 15 grams of protein, which is right up there with a decent-sized piece of chicken or beef, but with way more shelf life and way less cost. And beans aren't just about protein. They're loaded with iron for your blood, potassium for your heart, fiber for digestion, and folate that keeps your brain sharp. Your body actually craves this stuff, especially when you're living off pantry staples for days or weeks on end. The amazing thing is, beans are unbelievably easy to store. You don't need a fancy setup or a climate-controlled bunker. All it takes is some Mylar bags, a few oxygen absorbers, and a couple of food-grade buckets. Stored this way, beans can last for 30 years or even longer. There are folks out there eating beans from the late 90s that still taste perfectly fine. And the cost? You can buy a 20-pound sack of mixed beans for the price of a single steak dinner, and that's enough for literally hundreds of meals. It's hard to find anything else in the grocery store that gives you that kind of return on investment. But here's where most people slip up. They think beans are hard to cook or require hours over a stove. The truth is, you don't even need electricity. During blackouts, experienced preppers have been sprouting beans for quick nutrition. Just soak them in water and set them aside. And in a few days, you've got fresh, crunchy sprouts that don't need cooking at all. Or try the old thermos trick. Pre-soak your beans, pour in boiling water, wrap it up tight, and let it sit overnight. By morning, you'll have hot, ready-to-eat beans without burning through all your fuel. In an emergency, these little hacks matter a lot. There's also a reason nutritionists call beans nature's multivitamin. They're filling, they stabilize blood sugar, and they help keep your immune system strong, which is something you'll care about if you're stuck inside or eating less fresh food. Plus, beans are about the most flexible food you can find. Chili, soup, rice and beans, hummus, even bean burgers if you want to get creative. Stocking up on a few varieties means you're never stuck eating the same thing day after day. And when you rotate your supply, using what you have and replacing it as you go, you'll always be ready, no matter what comes next. While everyone else is shelling out for overpriced last-minute groceries or watching their fresh food rot, you'll have affordable, nutritious, long-lasting meals ready to go with zero stress. In the world of emergency prepping, that's about as close to a sure thing as you're going to get. Imagine what happens after just 5 days without power. Everything in your freezer is ruined, your fridge is starting to smell, and fresh meat has quickly turned into a science experiment gone wrong. That's when canned meats suddenly become the unsung heroes of your pantry. Unlike most foods, canned chicken, beef, pork, and fish don't need refrigeration and can actually stay safe to eat for years, sometimes even decades if you store them right. It sounds wild, but there are preppers out there who have eaten canned ham from the 1990s with no problems. The best buy dates are there to cover the manufacturer. But as long as a can isn't dented, bulging, or rusty, what's inside can outlast almost anything in your emergency stash. What really surprises most people is just how much protein you can get from canned meats. One can of chicken or beef often has 20 to 25 grams of protein per serving, enough to keep you going when you're working harder, burning more calories, or just trying to keep your energy up during a stressful situation. For anyone with kids or who's pregnant, pay close attention to what kind of fish you're buying. Stick with brands known for low mercury, especially if you plan to eat it more than once a week. Some products, like Safe Catch Elite Wild Tuna, are tested for especially low mercury levels and are safer for the whole family. Variety matters more than you might think, too. Eating the same bland food day after day wears you down, so having a mix of chicken, beef, pork, sardines, salmon, and even canned bacon isn't just about calories. It's about keeping your spirits up when things feel bleak. Look for cans with pull tabs, so you're not hunting for a can opener in the dark, and consider picking up a few vacuum-sealed pouches for portability. They're lighter, easy to open, and perfect for go bags or road trips. Just remember, pouches don't last as long as cans, so rotate them out more often. Where you keep your canned meats makes a huge difference. Don't just stick them in the garage, where summer heat or freezing winters can ruin your stockpile in a matter of months. Store them in a cool, dry place. Think basement shelves, a closet, or even under the bed if space is tight. A small amount of effort means you'll have high-quality, reliable protein ready for any emergency, and that's a huge relief when everyone else is scrambling. Most people think of honey as just something to sweeten their tea, but it's actually one of the most impressive survival foods out there. Archaeologists have found jars of honey in ancient tombs that were still perfectly edible after thousands of years, literally older than the pyramids. It doesn't spoil, it doesn't rot, and it doesn't need refrigeration. The secret? Honey's low water content and natural acidity create an environment where bacteria just can't survive. That means if you've got a jar of raw honey sealed up in your pantry, it could outlast anything else in your food storage. But honey's value in a crisis goes way beyond just food. It packs over 300 calories per 100 grams and delivers energy faster than most processed sugars, but without the harsh crash that comes with soda or candy. When you're running on adrenaline or dealing with long days and little rest, a spoonful of honey can keep you going. And in tough times, it's not just about calories. Honey is also a natural antibiotic. Thanks to a small amount of hydrogen peroxide and its unique chemical makeup, people have used honey to treat wounds, burns, and coughs for centuries. Even big organizations like the World Health Organization and the American Academy of Pediatrics recommend it as a cough remedy. There's a reason honey is also gaining ground, as a top barter item among preppers. When everything else is spoiled or stuck behind supply chain chaos, a jar of honey still has real value. It's shelf-stable, versatile, and trusted all over the world. And unlike a lot of emergency foods that need special packaging, honey is happiest just sitting in a glass jar with the lid on. No fancy containers or weird chemical additives required. Just don't add water. Moisture is the only thing that can make honey go bad, and keeping it dry is key. Storage couldn't be simpler. Place jars in a cool, dry spot off the ground, away from any moisture. Don't stress if your honey crystallizes, that's normal, and you can return it to liquid by gently warming the jar. Whether you're spreading it on bread, sweetening a drink, caring for a scrape, or even trading for something you need, honey belongs in every serious emergency stash. It's one of the few foods that truly stands the test of time, and you'll be glad you put some away. Pasta is often overlooked as an emergency staple, but it's one of those foods that delivers more than just calories. In a stressful situation, the comfort of something familiar can make a world of difference. Picture that classic bowl of spaghetti, mac and cheese, or chicken noodle soup. These aren't just meals. They're a taste of normal life, even when everything else feels upside down. And the best part? When stored properly, dry pasta can last more than 25 years, which means you can stock up now and forget about it until you really need it. What makes pasta so valuable in an emergency isn't just its shelf life. It's the fact that it's filling, easy to make, and incredibly versatile. Even without fancy cooking gear, you can have a hot meal ready in under 15 minutes, using just a camp stove or even a basic fire. And when times get tough, you'll appreciate having options. Pasta goes with just about anything you have left in the pantry, from a simple tomato sauce to canned meat, or even just a sprinkle of salt and oil. A big advantage with pasta is that it stretches other foods farther. Add a handful to soups or stews, and suddenly you've got enough to feed extra people or save leftovers for another day. It's also one of the most cost-effective sources of calories out there. Buying in bulk means you can get weeks' worth of meals for the price of a couple lattes. And kids, adults, even picky eaters will go for pasta, which isn't always the case with other emergency rations. Storing pasta is easy. The original packaging will keep it good for a couple of years. But if you want to be sure it lasts for decades, transfer it into Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers and store those in a dry, dark place. Rotate your stock every so often, using the oldest first, and keep adding a new box or two to your supply when you shop. This way, you're always ready, and you never get stuck with expired food. Having pasta on hand isn't just about filling up. It's about giving your family a sense of comfort, control, and even a little bit of joy in hard times. When the world feels chaotic, a warm plate of pasta really does make things a little better, and you'll be glad you thought ahead. Not too long ago, freeze-dried meals were the punchline of survival jokes. Expensive, bland, and reserved for hardcore campers or the ultra-paranoid. But these days, the technology and recipes have completely turned around. Now, you can get freeze-dried meals that actually taste good, come in dozens of varieties, and last for 30 years or more right on your shelf. What changed? Real chefs got involved, and food scientists figured out how to lock in flavor, nutrition, and texture so you don't end up eating rubbery mystery meat. In a real emergency, having a stash of these meals could be the difference between eating well and just getting by. Think about what happens during a long-term power outage or severe storm. Everyone is racing to cook whatever is left before it spoils. By day 3, the freezer is empty, the fridge is useless, and the grocery store shelves have already been picked clean. That's when freeze-dried meals start looking like gold. They don't require refrigeration, they're lightweight, and the only thing you need is water. Many can be prepared with nothing but room temperature or even cold water, which is a game changer if the power stays off for days. Just pour water in the pouch, wait a bit, and you've got a meal. No cooking, no mess, and no stress. These aren't the old military rations of the past. Companies today are making everything from lasagna and beef stew to breakfast skillets and even desserts like apple cobbler. The taste is honestly shockingly good for something designed to survive the apocalypse. Having real variety matters more than people think. When every day feels the same and stress is high, eating something familiar and tasty helps morale, especially for kids. The upfront cost can feel steep. 8 to 12 bucks per meal sounds like a lot, but each pouch often feeds 2 adults, sometimes more if you add rice or pasta. When you compare it to the price of takeout or the headache of trying to find food when stores are closed, it's actually a bargain for the security it gives you. And since freeze-dried meals last decades, you're not losing money to spoilage or having to constantly rotate your stock. Storage is simple. These meals come in pouches that are puncture-resistant, moisture-proof, and take up very little space. Think a small box in your closet or even under the bed. Keep them in a cool, dry spot and they'll be ready whenever you need them. It's smart to mix things up too. Get a range of flavors, breakfast and dinner options, and a few snacks or desserts to keep everyone happy. If you have special dietary needs, there are gluten-free, vegetarian, and low-sodium choices out there now, so you don't have to compromise your health during a crisis. One thing a lot of people don't consider is how valuable freeze-dried meals are for mental health as much as physical survival. During the worst days of a disaster, sitting down to a meal that actually tastes good can be the highlight of your day. Kids especially feel calmer when routines like sharing dinner stay intact. Even adults need those little moments of normalcy to recharge and keep going. So, if you're building your emergency stash, invest in at least a week's worth of freeze-dried meals for every member of your household. The price might make you hesitate, but when you think about what it buys you, nutrition, convenience, peace of mind, it's worth every penny. Rotate through the stock every few years to keep it fresh and get familiar with how to prepare the meals before you actually need them. When you're stuck inside and everyone else is worrying about what's left in the store, you'll be sitting down to a hot meal, knowing you planned ahead and took care of your family no matter what comes your way. When people first start prepping, they almost always make the same mistakes, and some can turn your emergency stash into a pile of wasted money. The biggest one? Storing food in the wrong place. A hot garage, a damp basement, or a shed exposed to wild temperature swings will destroy even the best packed groceries. All it takes is one summer of 100-degree heat or a hidden leak, and suddenly your rice is like concrete and your canned goods are rusted or bulging. That's not just gross, it's dangerous. The smartest thing you can do is keep all your supplies in cool, dry, indoor spots. Think closets, under beds, or inside cabinets. And always keep food off the floor, just in case of spills or flooding. Rotation is another step almost everyone overlooks. People buy a bunch of food, stash it away, and forget it exists until an emergency hits, only to discover half of it expired or gone bad. A simple Sunday check system is a total game changer. Once a month, spend 10 minutes looking over your supplies, checking expiration dates, and swapping out anything that's getting close to expiring. When something is almost up, use it for dinner that week and replace it with fresh stock. It's easy, it keeps your money from going to waste, and you'll always know exactly what you have on hand. Another common trap is thinking you need to buy everything at once or hoard like it's the end of the world. That's how you end up with a garage full of food you never eat and a busted budget. Start small. Aim for a basic 72-hour kit first, enough for everyone in your house to get through 3 days without help. Once you've got that covered, slowly build toward 2 weeks or more. Focus on buying foods you and your family actually like and use in normal life. There's no point in having 30 cans of something nobody will eat. You'll just end up throwing it away. Tracking your supplies helps you avoid doubling up or missing something critical. You don't need a fancy app. A simple spreadsheet or even a list taped to your pantry door works. Jot down what you have, how much, and the expiration date. Each time you use something, update the list. This kind of basic organization pays off big when you need it most, because you won't waste time digging through boxes or second-guessing if you're running low. Finally, prepping isn't about panic or fear. It's about building a sense of control and resilience in a world that can change fast. By taking steady, practical steps, you'll avoid the stress and chaos that hits when everyone else is caught off guard. Instead of buying out the store in a rush, just grab a few extra items each week and add to your supply gradually. That way, your emergency food becomes part of your everyday routine, not a dusty pile you dread having to use. When tough times come, you'll know you're ready, your food is fresh, and your family will be able to eat well and stay calm no matter what happens outside your door. Getting started can feel overwhelming, but the truth is, you don't have to overhaul your entire pantry overnight. Just pick one food from this list and make it your first step. Grab an extra bag of rice, a couple of cans of chicken, or a jar of honey next time you're at the store. Consistency matters more than speed. Little by little, you'll build up a stockpile that gives you real peace of mind without breaking the bank or adding stress. If you're ready to get serious about practical prepping that fits real life, not panic or hoarding, stick around and hit subscribe for more straightforward advice. Drop a comment on what you're starting with, and let's help each other get ready for whatever tomorrow brings. Taking action now, even in small ways, is a step your future self will be thankful for.